Have you ever had that unexpected moment of clarity when the people who used to manipulate and drain your energy suddenly seem like open books? When their usual tricks no longer stir your emotions? That sudden shift isn't just maturity or emotional fatigue. It's a sign, an indication that something deeper inside you is awakening. This is what many psychologists, including Carl Jung, described as a transformation of the psyche, a turning point in your journey as an empath. Most empaths spend their lives viewing their sensitivity as a burden, something to hide, suppress, or manage quietly in the background. But what if that very sensitivity was never the problem? What if it was actually a dormant power, waiting to be awakened? Through extensive study and real-world observation of thousands of individuals, it's clear that there are 7 deadly signs that point to the activation of this empathic power. These aren't deadly in the sense of danger. They're deadly to the old self, the one ruled by manipulation, fear, and emotional confusion. This transformation represents what Jung believed to be the next phase of psychological evolution, a path toward wholeness. And the mainstream psychological establishment? Many don't want this kind of empowerment widely shared. Because when empaths learn to activate and direct their innate gifts, the entire relationship dynamic changes. No more silent suffering, no more emotional exhaustion, just grounded presence and clear insight. If you've ever felt emotionally hijacked by others, constantly absorbing their emotions, or told you're too sensitive, what you're about to discover might be the missing piece to your personal liberation. Before we get into the heart of this, consider subscribing to our channel. This community is filled with people who are stepping into their full psychological potential. And if you're ready to go even deeper, join our private membership circle where we explore advanced shadow work, daily tools for empowerment, and real-life application of these insights. Now, let's dive into the first deadly sign of empathic power activation: shadow recognition. Imagine a time when someone tried to guilt you, using the same words that would usually leave you feeling ashamed or obligated. But this time, instead of reacting, you just saw it. You observed it happening, like watching a scene in a movie you've already seen a dozen times. That reaction you used to have? Gone. In its place is clarity, detachment, awareness. This is not emotional numbness, quite the opposite. It's a hyper-awareness, a moment where you're no longer blindly reacting. You see the tactic for what it is, but you're not hooked by it. That's what Jung called the beginning of individuation, becoming a whole and integrated person, not just a bundle of reactions formed by past wounds. If you've experienced this, you've likely noticed a strange sense of calm in situations that once left you confused or drained. That's not just you toughening up. It's your nervous system rewiring. It's your perception sharpening. It's your empathy becoming refined. You're not becoming cold. You're becoming precise. Like upgrading from an old radio that catches every signal to a crystal clear channel that only picks up what truly matters. The second deadly sign of empath activation is known as emotional differentiation. It marks a pivotal moment when you begin to distinguish almost effortlessly between your own emotions and those you're picking up from others. Before this internal shift, your emotional landscape likely felt like a sponge, soaking up everything from the people around you. If someone near you was anxious, you'd start feeling anxious. If they were angry, suddenly your mood shifted without warning. But now something's changed. You can feel the anxiety or the anger in the room and say to yourself, "This isn't mine." That's emotional differentiation in action. This isn't something achieved through intense mental focus or forced visualization techniques. It arises naturally from deep neurological changes. Your nervous system evolves. Your inner operating system upgrades to label emotional inputs correctly. It no longer just reacts, it categorizes. This update allows you to feel someone else's sadness or stress without absorbing it. It's not about caring less, it's about being clear on what belongs to you and what doesn't. Have you found yourself standing next to someone radiating stress, but instead of being swept away by it, you observe it with compassion from a grounded place? That's emotional differentiation working for you. It enables you to witness without drowning, to care without losing yourself. This change revolutionizes daily life for empaths. Spaces that once felt overwhelming, crowded rooms, emotionally charged meetings, family gatherings, suddenly feel manageable. You can stay centered. You can engage fully without being hijacked by the undercurrent of other people's emotional noise.
And it's not just about comfort. It's about sovereignty. The ability to define where you end and another begins is the essence of psychological empowerment. It turns you from an emotional mirror into a conscious participant. Many people don't even realize how deeply entangled they are with the emotions of others until they experience this differentiation. They've spent years reacting to stimuli that were never theirs to begin with, living lives dictated by emotional environments rather than intentional choices. But once this line becomes clear, it doesn't go away. It's like seeing color after living in black and white. You can't unsee it. And that opens the door to the third deadly sign of empath activation: intuitive accuracy. Previously, your intuition may have whispered in subtle ways. You'd get gut feelings about people or situations, but you'd second-guess them, write them off as paranoia, oversensitivity, or irrational fear. But now, your intuitive sense speaks louder and clearer. It's not subtle. It's undeniable. You meet someone, and everything about them checks out on the surface. They say all the right things, they look the part, but your inner radar flashes red. Something feels off. You can't explain it logically, but you know it with absolute certainty. And more often than not, your instincts turn out to be right. Carl Jung didn't view this as mysticism. He believed it was a sophisticated form of pattern recognition, a way the unconscious mind processes and detects signals below the surface of awareness. As your empathic power activates, those patterns rise into consciousness. No longer blocked by doubt, social conditioning, or the need to please, your inner knowing becomes sharp, reliable, and aligned. You've likely had moments where your intuition told you something crucial, only to have reality validate it days, weeks, or even months later. This is more than coincidence. It's the fine-tuning of your empathic intelligence. You've stepped beyond hunches into insight. The third deadly sign, as we've just introduced, is intuitive accuracy, a defining feature of an activated empath. When your empathic faculties awaken fully, your intuition becomes less like a whisper and more like a compass. It doesn't just give you vague feelings, it delivers clear direction. Think back to a recent moment when you sensed something wasn't quite right, even though all the facts seemed in place. Maybe it was a job opportunity that looked perfect on paper, or a person who appeared charming and sincere. Despite everything aligning externally, your body felt tense, your gut said no, and your energy subtly pulled back. That wasn't anxiety, that was insight. These intuitive signals aren't random. They're the result of subconscious analysis, your mind picking up on inconsistencies, micro-expressions, energy shifts, and patterns your rational brain hasn't processed yet. Carl Jung described this as the intuitive functiona natural, sophisticated intelligence that becomes fully accessible once freed from the interference of doubt, fear, or social pressure. When your empathic power is active, you begin to trust this function. You no longer need external confirmation to validate your internal knowing. You stop arguing with your instincts and begin honoring them. This shift alone can save years of emotional turmoil, poor decisions, or misplaced trust. This brings us to the fourth deadly sign, energetic boundaries. Previously, your emotional space might have felt like an open field. Anyone could walk in, dump their emotional baggage, and leave you to deal with the mess. You were permeable, vulnerable, always affected by other people's moods, problems, or projections. But with activation, something shifts. You begin to feel what can only be described as an energetic membrane, not a wall that shuts people out, but a filter that gives you choice. This membrane regulates what comes in and what stays out. And it's not something you build with your imagination. It forms naturally as a result of the biological and psychological upgrades your system is undergoing. Your nervous system starts filtering emotional and energetic data differently. Your body becomes more discerning. You can still feel deeply, but now you feel with intention. Empirical studies in psychoneuroimmunology, the science that explores how your thoughts and emotions affect your nervous and immune systems, have begun to confirm these kinds of changes. Empaths with activated power show measurable differences in how their autonomic systems process emotional input. They literally feel differently. You may have noticed that people who once overwhelmed you with their presence now feel less intrusive. It's not that they've changed. You have. The buffer is there. You no longer absorb everything automatically. You choose when to open and when to protect. And that choice makes all the difference. This new boundary empowers you to engage more deeply without the usual exhaustion or depletion. You can be compassionate without collapsing, present without being pulled under. And from here emerges the fifth deadly sign, intuitive discernment. The skill of instantly recognizing the difference between genuine connection and subtle manipulation. The fifth deadly sign of activated empath power is intuitive discernment. A sharpened inner sense that lets you differentiate, often instantly, between real connection and subtle manipulation. Before this activation, the difference between the two could feel murky. A manipulator's interest could appear sincere, even flattering. Their attention might feel like validation, especially for someone used to being misunderstood. But when your empathic discernment activates, something shifts. You can feel the energetic signature of manipulation long before the words or behaviors give it away. Authentic connection feels open, expansive, and energizing. It's a flow of mutual respect and presence. Manipulation, on the other hand, no matter how smooth or well disguised, feels constricting, like a shrinking of your inner space. Your body registers it immediately. Your gut tightens. Your breath shallows. You sense something is off before your mind can name it. Jung called this phenomenon the activation of the subtle body, a deeper aspect of human perception that picks up energetic truths beyond the reach of logic. When your empathic power is online, this subtle awareness becomes reliable. It's not paranoia, it's perception. This intuitive discernment operates below the level of conscious reasoning. By the time you've analyzed the interaction, your body has already registered it. You're no longer at the mercy of appearances. You recognize truth at a cellular level. And that recognition creates the foundation for healthier, more conscious relationships. It also reinforces the sixth deadly sign: emotional independence.
Before activation, your emotional world might have been tethered to others' opinions, moods, and feedback. A compliment could lift you for days. A single disapproving glance might ruin your week. You lived in constant emotional negotiation with the external world, calibrating your self-worth by others' reactions. But now, that dependency starts to fade. You begin to feel something radically new: centeredness. You can receive criticism without collapsing. You can face rejection without unraveling. You can disagree without guilt. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means your caring is no longer conditional. Emotional independence is not detachment or numbness. It's presence. It's being fully available to life without outsourcing your self-worth. It's knowing who you are, even when others don't understand, validate, or agree. Jung called this self-possession the anchoring of identity in one's own inner authority, rather than external approval. With it, you become emotionally sovereign. You can engage without entanglement, love without losing yourself, support others without abandoning your own needs. Have you noticed this shift? That you can listen without absorbing, give without depletion, and remain steady even when others are unsettled? This is emotional independence at work. It's the transformation from emotional reactivity to conscious choice. And all of this prepares you for the deepest and final threshold, the seventh deadly sign: shadow integration. The seventh deadly sign of empath power activation is shadow integration, the ability to consciously recognize, accept, and integrate the parts of yourself you've been taught to reject. Your shadow includes all the qualities you've suppressed over the years: anger, ambition, selfishness, desire for power, and other traits labeled as bad or unspiritual. As an empath, you may have felt pressure to be endlessly kind, selfless, forgiving, to stay small to make others comfortable. These disowned traits didn't vanish. They went underground, where they influenced your choices in unconscious, often harmful ways. But when your empathic power fully activates, the shadow doesn't stay hidden. It begins to rise into awareness, not to destroy you, but to complete you. You start noticing when your niceness is actually self-abandonment, when your patience masks resentment, when your giving becomes people-pleasing. And instead of shaming yourself for it, you bring compassion and curiosity. You no longer push these parts away. You invite them in. This doesn't make you dangerous or selfish. It makes you whole. You become capable of witnessing your anger without being ruled by it. You can acknowledge your desire for power without using it to dominate. You own your complexity instead of performing one-dimensional goodness. This integration dissolves the internal splits that once left you fragmented and easily manipulated. You're no longer acting out your wounds or projecting them onto others. You're no longer performing a role. You're showing up fully, as a human being with depth, range, and choice. And as you make peace with your own shadow, something remarkable happens. You stop judging others for theirs. The things that used to trigger you in others, narcissism, selfishness, emotional volatility, start losing their grip. Because you've acknowledged the seed of those qualities in yourself. And by facing your own darkness with honesty, you stop being controlled by it in the world around you. Jung considered shadow integration essential not just for personal healing, but for collective evolution. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs more wholeness. And the activated empath, through this integration, becomes a powerful force for that. With all 7 signs activated, your empathic power is no longer a passive trait. It's a dynamic force. It doesn't just feel, it knows. It doesn't just absorb, it chooses. It doesn't just care, it acts with clarity. You've moved from unconscious absorption to conscious discernment, from porous vulnerability to sovereign presence, from idealized self-image to grounded authenticity. This journey doesn't end here. In the next section, we'll explore the catalysts that can accelerate this transformation and how to engage this path more intentionally, even if the signs are only just beginning to emerge. Activating your empathic power isn't always a gentle or graceful process. In fact, it often begins in the aftermath of emotional burnout, betrayal, or personal collapse. Jung referred to this as the necessary death, the breaking down of false identities and unworkable emotional patterns. But the good news is, you don't have to wait for a crisis to begin this transformation. There are 3 powerful catalysts that can accelerate your empathic awakening. The first is conscious overwhelm. This means allowing yourself to fully feel the emotional weight of boundary violations, manipulation, or emotional exploitation without rationalizing it away. Many empaths are experts at minimizing pain, telling themselves, "It's not that bad," or "They didn't mean it." But that habit can keep your power dormant. When you let yourself feel the full emotional truth of these moments without spiraling or dissociating, you activate a protective response deep in your psyche. It's your system waking up and saying, "No more." The second catalyst is pattern recognition. This involves observing recurring dynamics in your relationships, not as isolated incidents, but as systems. Do certain people always leave you feeling drained? Are you frequently pulled into roles like fixer, listener, or emotional caretaker? When you identify these patterns, your brain begins to build new neural pathways. You stop taking manipulation personally and start seeing it as predictable and therefore manageable. You move from reaction to recognition. And the third, most transformative catalyst is intentional shadow retrieval. This means actively reclaiming the disowned parts of yourself. If you've been conditioned to believe that anger is bad, or that prioritizing your needs is selfish, you've likely exiled those parts of yourself into the shadow. And ironically, it's that very exile that makes you vulnerable. When you own your power, your edges, your full range, you stop projecting them onto others. You no longer attract emotional vampires who thrive on your self-denial. Your presence becomes sovereign. These catalysts are not easy. They require courage, honesty, and deep self-compassion. But they also trigger immediate changes in your energy, your boundaries, your relationships, and your sense of self. And as your empathic power activates, you'll start noticing unexpected shifts. You may become more creative, more decisive, more physically energized. You might find that people begin responding to you differently, with more respect, more curiosity, or more caution. That's because your energy is no longer porous. Your presence now carries clarity. This clarity extends into every area of life: your work, your health, your spiritual growth. You begin to speak up without fear. You pursue projects that once felt out of reach. You stop waiting for permission. The emotional resources once consumed by managing others' needs become fuel for your own expansion. But most importantly, you begin to experience life with a deeper sense of agency. You're not reacting, you're choosing. You're not performing, you're expressing. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. This transformation into an activated empath isn't just personality.
radiates outward. When you become grounded, clear, and whole, the people around you feel it. You stop mirroring dysfunction and start modeling authenticity. Without preaching, without trying to change others, your way of being becomes a quiet revolution. You create space, permission, safety. People begin to drop their masks around you, not because you demand it, but because your presence signals that it's okay to be real. You become a lighthouse, steady, lit from within, guiding others through their own fog of confusion and projection. Carl Jung believed this transformation represented not just individual healing, but a leap in human consciousness. In a world drowning in noise, fragmentation, and shadow projection, the activated empath is a bridge, someone who can feel deeply without losing themselves, who can stand in truth without needing to dominate, who can embody compassion without being consumed. If you see yourself in these signs 7, just 1 or 2, know that the activation has already begun. Trust that. Honor the process. There's no timeline, no rush, just an unfolding. If you don't yet recognize these signs, but long for this transformation, start with the 3 catalysts. Feel the truth of your overwhelm. Observe your relationship patterns, and reclaim your disowned power. These steps create the inner conditions for change. Remember, becoming an activated empath isn't about fixing yourself. It's about becoming more of who you already are, without distortion, without apology. It's not about being less sensitive. It's about being more precise, more empowered, more present, and most of all, more free. If this message speaks to you, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share your experiences. Your story might be exactly what another empath needs to hear. And if you're ready to go deeper, consider joining our membership circle, where we dive into these insights daily, supporting one another on this powerful journey of transformation. Until next time, remember, your sensitivity is not the weakness. It's your superpower, and when fully activated, it's one of the most transformative forces on Earth.